Hello and welcome back everyone to the video series dedicated show on MTV that has little beady ferret eyes. That's right, we're talking about The Challenge Season 40 Battle of the Eras, where we have eliminations on top of eliminations on top of eliminations. It's like that Captain Crunch Oops All Berries. This is TJ's Oops All Eliminations. And the beginning of this episode caught me a little off guard because I thought we would start off right where last episode left off. Thought we would go back to the house, hear the winners in the chamber by themselves, and then go around telling people they were going into elimination, and then some point we would get to the arena. No, we start off right in the arena with everybody walking in and ready to compete. I love this editing decision because it made for a more dynamic viewing experience because we feel we get right to the arena, we get right into the action, and then we have flashbacks as we're going through each round of the elimination to see how we got here. We're gonna get into all of that, but let's talk about who's going into the eliminations. You have for Era 1, we have Derek versus Mark, Anissa versus Katie. Era 2, we have Cara versus Kellyanne, and Brandon versus Ryan. Era 3, Leroy versus Tony, and Amanda versus Nia. And finally, Era 4, we have Nerys versus Olivia, and Paulie versus Theo. There were 4 total eliminations set up in the arena when everybody was walking in. You can see a balls in, a pole wrestle, hall brawl, and take shelter. All these eliminations were introduced in each era of the challenge, Era 1, Era 2, Era 3, Era 4. Each era will play one elimination game. They went up, picked one at random, and whatever they chose, their era would play. First era up was Era 3 playing balls in. Now before getting into the elimination, we do see a little bit of a flashback of Amanda being told that she's going into elimination, and she confronts Tori while in the buffet line, and let's just say Amanda is displeased about being sent into the elimination against Nia, especially because she feels Tori did not try at all to keep her out of elimination. She feels he folded like a lawn chair and is doing whatever Tori tells him to. Now we actually get into the elimination matchup of Amanda versus Nia, and I was worried about this elimination because I was thinking this was going to be a Jasmine versus Laurel part 2 from Free Agents, that this was just going to be absolute domination. However, this turned out to be one of my favorite eliminations of the night. First round, you have Amanda sidestepping around the circle before running in and getting into the contact zone. Nia gets a little too impatient and shoves Amanda while she's still outside of the contact zone. In the midst of Nia kind of like, oh, why did I do that? And she's too in her head after that moment, Amanda has quick thoughts to get her quick feet to the middle and to the can as fast as possible, where she is able to sink in a point. And then combine this with the next round of Nia on offense, and it looks like she's going to get an easy slam dunk, and the ball goes off the edge of the can. If Amanda could have reacted just a hair quicker to the ball being on the ground live, and if she could have knocked it out, it would have gave her so much momentum going into the next round. But Nia was able to recollect the fumble and then dunk it, tying things 1-1. And then Nia went on to win the next 2 rounds. Nia was able to stop Amanda in her tracks to keep her from scoring. And then Nia looked like Derrick Henry as Nia just bulldozed her way to the end zone and dunked that ball. Nia wins, and sadly, Amanda was eliminated. Moving on to the Era 3 men, you have Leroy versus Tony. Something I found very interesting that Leroy says in the confessionals is that he says, I never really took sports too seriously. I never took life too seriously. I never took the challenge too seriously. But here he wants to win, and he says, I'm going to try my hardest. And I'm sorry, but looking at this elimination, I'm going, this is you trying your hardest? Tony is able to manhandle Leroy more so than Nia was able to manhandle Amanda, which is just shocking to me. Tony dominates this, winning 2-0, and Leroy is sent home first alongside Amanda. Next era up is Era 1, where they will be playing in the pole wrestle. Now Derek has quite the experience with pole wrestles and pole wrestle variants, and Mark is coming into this knowing that, one, he's going up against a friend, and two, Derek is very experienced in this elimination. It is a tough battle between these two men. Even though it seemed like Mark was all over him, Derek was able to keep his leverage in each round, despite Mark doing some really cool flips and stuff. Now we have Aneesa versus Katie, and we do get a flashback of Aneesa and Rachel having an argument where Aneesa's like, I can't believe you let him send me in and blah, blah, blah. I get it. You've been friends for 20 years, but this is also the challenge. Don't take it so personal. You got 4th place in the challenge. Just go in there and take care of business, which Aneesa eventually does, even though Katie was doing an incredible job at just staying alive in this elimination. There was multiple times early on in the first round of the pole wrestle where Katie only had one hand on the pole, but Katie was able to just keep her grip on there, and then even does like a leg to Aneesa where people were like freaking out about it. It was really exciting for a few seconds, but Aneesa was able to take care of business. She got her elimination win she really wanted, that she talked about in like episode 0, wanting to get one over Cara, you know? So Aneesa had that going for her for, you know, a little while. Next up, we get to Era 4, and they chose the Hall Brawl. These two matchups of Theo versus Paulie and Olivia versus Nurys is high tension. These two matchups have beef with each other. There's a lot of storyline there. Even with all the drama, there is quite a bit of like size difference between the two matchups. I mean, Theo is quite a bit taller, probably quite a bit heavier than Paulie, as well as Nurys is the smallest woman in Era 4 and probably inside the house. I mean, this was a tough battle for Nurys, I feel, because looking at the players who were available to go into the elimination between Jenny, Olivia, and Casey, I mean, they all have experience in a Hall Brawl. But if I'm Nurys, I feel like I could take on Olivia better than I could take on Jenny or Casey. But when we do see Nurys, she is crying. She talks about how there's no real bad blood between her and Olivia, and she doesn't hate Olivia. She's nervous, and to me, that worried me. I was like, oh no, like please don't do this right before going in. Like, you need to pump yourself up. And the first round for the women is like a little like love tap in the middle of the Hall Brawl. They both pass each other rather quickly, and Olivia was able to get the point 1-0. Now, the second round for the women has me all types of confused, because at first it seems like they actually like stop each other in the hall. Olivia gets better leverage and starts pushing Nurys towards the buzzer, but she was able to then swap around. Olivia now has her back to her own buzzer, falls down. They're at the entrance of the one side of the hall, where I feel like, yeah, Nurys is standing up and could be in a better position to run to her button, but Olivia is so much closer to her button that if she just lets Nurys go, I'm sure she could have gotten up and hit her button to just automatically win. But it just gets prolonged in where Nurys is dragging Olivia back into the hall, and then Olivia gets up and then starts dragging Nurys back to the button. I felt like each player made it that much more complex, more so on Olivia's side, but a little bit more complex than it needed to be. And Olivia is able to just press the button and win 2-0. And then Theo and Paulie, I'm sorry, but this is the most dominant Hall Brawl I think we've ever gotten in challenge history. Paulie does what he needs to do and goes low, but Theo counters him, and even though he's so much taller, he gets even lower than Paulie and just absolutely knocks Paulie on his butt. Theo is able to easily press that button. Paulie took a very hard hit in the first round, and in the second round, he took another hard hit, and you just see him just like get whiplash with his head going back. Theo hops over him and is easily able to press the button, winning 2-0. Now, Era 2 gets a little bit messy, especially when we get the flashbacks where Cara tells Paulie, Laurel told me it's me. I'm the one going into elimination against Kellyanne. Paulie confronts Bananas. Cara confronts Bananas. Johnny tries to give some reasoning on why he chose Cara, but neither Cara nor Paulie want to hear about it. It is a little confusing to me because in the next frame, you have Bananas, Kellyanne, and Laurel all talking with each other, and Laurel's like, yeah, I kind of feel bad. And then we get this confessional of how it's like, oh, well, me and Cara, there's a lot of love, and there's a lot of hate, and all this other stuff, and it's just weird. Because all the way up to this point, every single confessional has just been nasty. It's just been, Cara's an anchor, I want her off the team, she doesn't fit the team, I want people who are winners. I had to roll my eyes when she's like, I feel bad. CT wants Cara to do her best and to win. And he feels like she's just been moping around. So he tries to get her pumped up, try to tell her, like, get your head from hanging low, get your chin up, and just go in there and do your best. That's when we get to the Take Shelter eliminations. There's 4 shelters, and both the men and the women were going at the same time. And this elimination is one of my favorites. I think Not So Fast is my favorite elimination in challenge history, and this is kind of like a variance on that elimination. It's hard to tell who's doing what better. Like, Brandon was using a lot more materials. He used a giant log, he used rope, he used chains, he used a lot. So did Cara, she used a giant pirate wheel. But then you have like Ryan, who was just using the chain and trying to make as many tiny knots as possible. He focused all of his energy and time on one side of the door to where Brandon would be absolutely exhausted trying to feed all the chain through this and try to take it out. And really, that's what happened. While Ryan was like a hurricane, just like taking everything off, he was going with a purpose. He had so much energy, which then led to Ryan winning for the men, and Brandon was eliminated. Now, the women were much closer. Towards the end of the elimination, it seemed like Kellyanne was so close at winning. She had so much of the stuff away from the door. She was taking out so many knots. Cara seemed to be a little bit behind, but out of nowhere, Cara was able to get some of the knots done, open the door enough to run inside, and press the button where Kellyanne said that she was like 2 seconds from being done. Cara just sneaks in there and gets the win. So at the end of this episode, the 8 people who are eliminated are Mark, Katie, Brandon, Kellyanne, Amanda, Leroy, Paulie, and Nerese. This would usually be the point where TJ says, you lost, thanks for playing, hope we see you back soon, say goodbye to everybody, and we would watch the eliminated contestants walk out of the arena. But this is different because TJ then tells everybody, I'll see you at the next challenge, and remember, how you treat people in this game will matter. All right, see you later. So that sends red alarm bells in everybody's minds. And then TJ addresses the eliminated contestants, telling them that they will be having a hand in possibly determining who could win $1 million this season by handing out karma points. Each eliminated contestants will get a list of the remaining contestants, and they can give them 5 points all the way down to 1 point, and they can give them out any way they see fit. So at the end of this episode, you can see Leroy giving Anissa 5 points, Amanda giving Cara 5 points, Nerese giving Horacio 5 points, Kellyanne giving Bananas 1, Brandon giving Ryan 0, but really he had to give him at least 1 point, Paulie giving Laurel, he said 0 points, but you had to give him 1 point, and Amanda gives Tori what she wants is negative points. Looking back at the eliminations real quick, I felt like it would have been beneficial to at least have a puzzle elimination for at least one. I get it that Take Shelter is like a physical puzzle elimination, but this was very physical. It would have been great to have some equalizer. It just felt like this was very heavy-handed on the physical side, where someone like Amanda going into elimination, it wasn't really gonna work out. But I'm not gonna complain because we get to see all these classic eliminations at least once during this season. I think the most fun elimination was Amanda versus Nia. I mean, the one that made me cringe in like pain was the Hall Brawl eliminations for both Era 4 men and women. The Take Shelter elimination was pretty close. I did like that one, but every other elimination just seemed so one-sided. What I'm the most on the fence about are these karma points. We just got done watching All-Stars Season 4, where the star twist with the star loop that a lot of people felt like that took away from the competition in the game. And now you have one of the biggest challenges with some of the best and biggest personalities and legends of the game, to the point where it's like, can we just see these people play the game? If you make it to the final, let the best players play and just see who wins outright. I'm worried for what these karma points could do. If it's anything like what we saw with All-Stars 4 with the star loop, I'm going to be nervous about that. This worries me because this is, again, another thing of karma points, friendship points kind of vibe. And at a certain point, the game starts getting a little too complex. There's too many variables at hand. And sometimes the simpler answer is the better answer. I kind of just wish they would have told us what they're going to do instead of just leaving it so vague of like, this could help some. I don't know what they're going to do. Hopefully it's not going to be too heavy-handed to where it feels like it's just giving somebody the game or giving somebody too much of an advantage in a pivotal point of the game. I don't know. I guess we'll wait to see what's going to happen in future eliminations, possible future karma points being handed out, when TJ is going to give us all of this information. But that is it for this week's episode. What'd you think about the eliminations? All 8 elimination rounds. Which did you find the most exciting? Which did you find the most one-sided? Who are you sad to see leave? And who are you happy to see go? Let me know anything and everything down in the comment section below. And the most important question is, what do you think about these karma points? 1, how do you feel about them? 2, what do you think they could do in the game? And 3, are you excited for them or are you nervous about them? Please let me know anything and everything down in the comment section below. I want to hear what you have to say. And now I want to give a special shout out thank you to everyone who supports me over at patreon.com/angelcakevids. Thank you for your support. Thank you for your generosity. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And thank you to everyone who's watching this video up to this point. I'll be back really soon with more Challenge 40 content, more challenge content, more content in general. But until then, peace.